Hey guys, today we'll be building a lens for blind people so they can walk around by themselves and identify objects. We're gonna be going through the world mesh, text to speech, and how to identify objects. So let's get started. We are back in Lens Studio with a fresh and empty project. Let's start by selecting the camera, add a device tracking component, change tracking mode to world. The next thing we want to do is to click on the plus, add the world mesh, and boom, looks pretty good. See how precise it is. Of course it will depend on your phone how it works in real life. iPhones with lidars or other devices with lidars are of course much more performant and precise, but I have an iPhone 10 and it still works pretty good. I like to change the material to an occluder instead. This means you can hide digital objects behind the wall and you still can't see them. We want to add a physics collider to the world mesh and click show collider, and you can see there's a big sphere here. That's of course not what we want. We want to change the shape type to mesh. We select the world mesh and yep, still works pretty great. See the details on the obstacles, that's the important part. Now we want to add a cane. Select the camera, let's just add a sphere, take it from there. We can make it, let's make it 18. Let's make it thinner, 0.3, 0.3. Select the move tool, move it a bit more forward, and we can see it now. Would be great to give it a small angle here and move it down. So we need to add a physics body to our cane, and now it has gravity, which is cool and all, but that's not what we need. So you deselect dynamic, press Ctrl R, you reset your scene, and we are back. Now we want to add a script. And this is the typical physics library collider script I showed you in the last tutorial as well. I'll make sure the code is underneath in the description of the video, so just copy paste it from there. But basically what it does is it tells you when it enters something, it tells you when it overlaps with something, it tells you when you exit something, and it counts every time you do it, so you can keep track of how many times you have collided with something. This script needs to go to our physics collider here, so you can, let's first rename this to collision, select world mesh, scroll down, just drag it over here, and you can see it already works. Sometimes I like to drag down the console log here so you have better visual. And you can see it counts every time. Great. Now we should probably add the text to speech module, which you can find in the asset library. I already have it here. You can just search for text to speech. Somehow yeah, making songs called text-to-speech is pretty popular. So we just need to import this. And now it's down the resources panel. For good order, let's just rename this, drag it up here.
Provide any text input.
As you can hear, it works. Let's just deselect this, or as it asks us to, let's just delete it. Let's go to this text-to-speech resources here. Open the script. That's called TTS example, the one we just deleted. So what we need from this is only this line here, and that's the magic of global variables. You can call them from anywhere in any script. Now we need to go back to the collision script here, and in the function here where it says enter, we can go and touching obstacle could be great, I think.
Touching obstacle.
Perfect. Now we know if we're walking into something, or at least
Touching
we will know before we walk into something, which is the whole point. Okay, so we got the world mesh working, we got collision detection working, we got text-to-speech working. The last thing we want to implement is the scan API, which is doing the object detection for us, so we can get some information about our environment. And I also did a tutorial about that before, so let's just import that script. So we create a script here. Let's call this scanner. And this code you will also be able to find below if you don't have it already. And then let's create a scene object here where it can live, because scripts, they need something to live inside. And now we are missing our scan module, which we can just add here. And it works. It's 99% sure that we see a chair, and that's
touching obstacle.
It's pretty correct. Let's just rename this, keep it clean and tight. Now in here in our
touching
scan
obstacle
module, let's add also text to speech, and we just copy this one here. And go to the scanner. So this is where the magic happens. Annotations, index I dot name. So instead of having a string here, just put this.
Touching obstacle. Touching obstacle. Share.
Okay.
Touching obstacle.
So what you can do is you can go crazy and say this is frame.
Touching obstacle. Share.
update
Share.
it and it goes
Couch.
crazy.
Touching obstacle.
Couch.
This is not
Share.
good
Touching
for
obstacle.
performance,
Share.
so I would rather keep it at tab, so the user has
Touching
to tap.
obstacle.
Chair.
Coffee table.
Couch.
So you give the user the choice to get information when the user wants to, but that's up to you to choose what it's best. The last thing is we want to add some text as well. So click on the main camera here, add a text object, go to the scene, we pull it out here, let's put it up. Let's make it here, and just a good thing to always do is to add an outline, otherwise it's
Touching
can be really hard
touching
to read.
obstacle. Touching obstacle.
Let me just disable the text to speech for now.
Touching obstacle.
Okay, yeah. You can see here, if I, without the outline, you can imagine if you're outside in the sun, it will be really hard to read anything if it's only one color. You can also change this to the Snapchat color. Oh, I need. And you can see here how hard it is to read. But if we add the outline, I like to put this up to 0.6. Then you have something that's more readable, more user-friendly. You can call this scan. Maybe it's a little bit too big. It's 40. Alright. And you cannot add your own fonts here, but the default font is pretty good. Let's put back the text to speech and let's call this scan text, because we want our objects to appear as text as well. So we go to our script editor here and we can add a new input. It's called text component. We can call it whatever, so let's just call it scan text. We can add it here, so every time you refer to an input, you write script dot the name of that input, which is scan text. And now, since this is a text component, we write text. This dot text means we want to manipulate the text. You can also write dot font, dot color, etc. And then we add the magic here. And good old semicolons. Oh yeah, classic, we need to assign it. So you click on the scanner, you find the text and
Share. Table. Share.
Touching obstacle.
Table.
Touching obstacle. Touching obstacle. Touching obstacle.
yeah, this is pretty amazing. If
Touching
you ask
obstacle.
me. I think the last thing I would do is just to get rid of this text.
Touching
Share.
touching obstacle. Touching
Table.
Also, thank you to Snapchat for sponsoring this tutorial. See you on the next one.